Mike Pence is throwing down the gauntlet to supporters of former President Donald Trump. The former vice president and Indiana governor directed some of his harshest language at his old boss as he kicked off for his own run of the White House.
News 8's government reporter Garrett Bergquist was the only Indianapolis TV reporter at today's announcement in Iowa. He joins us now live from Des Moines.
Well, Pence had plenty of vitriol for President Joe Biden, but he arguably went farther than any of his rivals when it came to Biden's predecessor. Pence leaned heavily on his actions on January 6, 2021. He says loyalty to the Constitution will mark his campaign and his potential presidency.
My former running mate continues to insist that I had the right to overturn the election. But President Trump was wrong then. And he's wrong now. I will always believe, by God's grace, I did my duty that day. I kept my oath to ensure the peaceful transfer of power under the Constitution of the United States.
That's sure to rankle Trump. Pence says he continues to pray for his old boss, but the 45th president should never set foot in the Oval Office again.
I believe that anyone who puts themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put them over the Constitution should never be president of the United States again.
Nearly a dozen Republicans are now vying for the party's nomination, including Pence and Trump. Pence's history with the former president makes him unique among the group. His older brother, Congressman Greg Pence, says he doesn't expect this to be a liability. Does he have a realistic shot at the Republican nomination?
Well, I think so. I hope so. It's all up to, you have to win Iowa. He'll have to win Iowa to move himself forward. And if he does well here, moves up in the polls, anything can happen.
Rank and file supporters tell me something similar.
You need to look at the person themselves. When I go out and vote, I base my vote off of the person and off their policies. I do research. I look into everything.
We've gone through a lot as a country, and we can use any improvement. We have a man here who has initiative, who has drive, and who has ideas that can spark. We just have to give him a chance to actually use his voice besides everything else that's gone on in the past.
For his part, former President Trump has yet to target Pence directly. He's directed most of his rhetoric at his closest rival in the polls, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Live in Des Moines, I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
And Garrett, you were just mentioning the polls. So do we have any idea of how Pence compares to his Republican rivals as a whole?
Well, we've had a couple of survey polls, survey data packets have just come out. Morning Consult just released new data from a survey they did of about 3,500 likely Republican voters. Pence is in third place among them, but he only has the support of 7% of them. And 538's average of favorability, unfavorability polls gives Pence roughly an 11-point unfavorability rating.
Garrett, thank you.
Meanwhile, former Vice President, Indiana Governor Mike Pence talking right now in Des Moines, Iowa, as you see live here. He's been taking questions in a town hall hosted by CNN. I listened to it before coming on air, and things got interesting pretty quickly. Here's what the former Vice President told moderator Dana Bash about January 6th, then former President Donald Trump.
Are you saying that a vote for Donald Trump is a vote against the Constitution?
I've said many times, including on this network and others, and in the book that I wrote last fall, January 6th was a tragic day. But thanks to the courage of law enforcement, the violence was quelled. We were able to reconvene the Congress the very same day and complete the work of the American people under the Constitution. And I'll always believe that by God's grace, I did my duty that day to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the oath that I had taken. But as I said today in my remarks, I felt it was important as we launched this campaign to understand the President and I had a difference in the past, and that hasn't changed. But also there are profound differences about the future of this country and the future of the Republican Party that I articulated today. But when the President asserted that I had the right to overturn the election, I said today that I felt that he was asking me to choose between him and the Constitution. I chose the Constitution.
And our coverage continues tonight at 11 o'clock with two members of Indiana's best political team. They will join me for tonight's episode of Unfiltered to further discuss Pence's campaign announcement.